Right. As always, the Mind Your Business podcast comes to you every Friday with new episodes from the Binge Podcast Network. Onabinge.com is the move you need to make. If you're a podcaster or you're interested in podcasting, whatever it is, we'd love to work with you. We being a great business partner, Dominic Lawson, with Owls LLC, as well as the Startup Life podcast. Shout out to Dominic, too. He won a really prestigious award with the Memphis Grizzlies in terms of mentorship. And so we always want to make sure that we shout out our people when we're doing well out here. You know, we quick to share a lot of things when people do things that aren't so positive, and we want to share positive. So shout out to Dominic on that. But again, if you're interested, onabinge.com, you can email us at info@onabinge.com. And of course, this is episode 78. It is brought to you, as always, by Brooks Brothers Consulting. Brooks Brothers Consulting was started by my brother Philip and I back in June of 2013. Leadership and Business Development Solutions is the name to that game. If you're interested in building your business plan, you want a living document that can help you guide your business as you go through the different evolutionary processes of startup to aging your business, becoming a cash cow. You need a dedicated partner with that, and we can do that. If you're in an organization and you have new leadership or you have existing leadership that you want to evolve and see grow, you can hire us and we'll come in and work directly with your leadership team. One of the critical things in any business or organization now is leadership. And you see that when the leadership's not good, you can see that trickle through the organization. And when the leadership is good, you can see that trickle through the organization. So if you're having concerns or struggles with that, no matter what size your company is, whether it's just you, because when you start your business, you become a lot of things. You're HR director, you're the first employee, you're the CEO, you're the CFO. You wear all the hats, right? But your leadership is still going to be critical. So this is not just for people with a bunch of employees and a bunch of signs up and down the street. You need to make sure that your leadership is in order first before you grow the rest of your organization. So brooksbrothersconsulting.com is that move that you should make. brooksbrothersconsulting.com. Get with us, and we'd love to be a resource for you. Episode number 78, the Minding Your Business podcast. Let's begin.
What we do here is go back.
So thank you to everybody that is tuning in. I am your host, Champ Ron. This is the Minding Your Business podcast, episode number 78 already. We're a little over a year and a half in. We have crossed over 33,000 downloads. So I want to thank all of you for your support. As I've told you, I'm just a knucklehead on here. I didn't study communications. I'm tongue-tied. The folks in elementary school said I couldn't learn. My mama told them, what she told them. I ain't going to say, she get on me if I cuss. So I ain't going to tell you what she told the folks, but I'm glad she told them. And so I'm here. I'm going to be 38 tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. Folks messing with me in the office. So, what the funny thing about when you turn something like 38 is, I used to be the young guy in the office. And so now I'm not. Now I got these folks that come in, they were born in 1994. Like, who the hell was born in 1994? No, but I think children are born in I got somebody in my office born in 2001. I was like, what? Like, what do you mean you were born? You were born the other day. But I'm quickly getting to that point, y'all, where and see, now I'm not the oldest person in the office, so I'm kind of getting to that middle-aged guy where I guess I know a little bit about the technology, but then, I'm holding on to a lot of old stuff. Let me check my Palm Pilot and all that, I'm still doing that kind of stuff, and I got a little bit of innovation. So I'm kind of like halfway in between, and so it's, I'm trying to work through this, so I got to get used to it. So they had a little birthday cake for me and stuff on yesterday, and everybody got their jokes in. So I let them go and get their jokes in. I wasn't going to hold up no checks or nothing. I was tempted to. Everybody got a line on, we might have to run somebody's check till Monday, but I ain't going to be like the federal government. We wasn't going to shut down stuff and all that. So, But I'm appreciative. I'm grateful anytime you get another year and that sort of thing. And I'm always happy to share my age. I always said this, if I had died the year before, I'd been hot, and probably literally. So I'm always, hey, you make it another year. That's part of the game. Is you want to stick around as long as you can. And I've been to enough funerals to know that life is short and is precious, and you always want to make the utmost effort every day to be the best person that you can be. And so I'm always happy to share my age. I've never understood people that don't, because like I say, if this hotel we call life, people are checking in and checking out every day, and it's all about what you do with your stay. All right, episode number 78. I've got a special guest that I want to get to. Shout out to everybody that's on Facebook Live, people that are on Spreaker Live, checking this out. I just have to thank y'all so much for supporting the podcast, supporting the people that come as guests on the podcast. Shout out to everybody. Karanda, what's going on? Sorwar. We got Sorwars in the house all over the place. Brother-in-law, what's going on? Olivia, Jimmy, Miss King. I can't read everybody's first name. I ain't gonna butcher it. Cian, Frat, what's going on, brother? How you doing? Jessica, how you doing? Real estate professionals in the house. I already talked about Scott Kinney, Lamar, Dorothy Frazier, what's going on? Family there. Timothy, what's up? Lisa, South Kakalaki, what's going on? Johnson, what's going on? So I want to make sure I catch everybody, and everybody that's on Spreaker, what's up to you all? And we've got a great show. We got a great guest, so I don't want to waste too much time, but I do want to get right into Ron's rundown, because I got a few bones to pick. And I'm going to pick those real quick. So let's go ahead and get into the rundown, Ron's rundown. So here's kind of the thing. Let me get to this real quick. So this week, y'all's president, no affiliation, no, there's no collusion. President Donald J. Trump this week, the 45th president of the United States of America, took the liberty today not today, but this week at the White House. He had Clemson University, who won the NCAA National Championship. So for those that are followers of Clemson, shout out to you. And they were at the White House. Brought the whole team to the White House. The president decides that at the White House, he turns the White House into White Castle by having McDonald's catered in. Now, here's my thing. 10 years ago, when I believe it was Alabama, whoever won the national championship, they came to the White House, and one President Barack H. Obama and Mrs. Michelle Obama, happy birthday to her from yesterday, they hosted a very nice dinner for the University of Alabama, very classy, and took pictures and spoke and things like that. We fast forward 10 years. We've been doing the 10-year challenge, right, on social media. So here's the 10-year challenge in Washington. The president now caters Big Macs and fries and apple pies and McFlurry if they had the machine working.
They said no ice cream.
Yeah, no ice cream. The machine might not have been working. Yeah, who knows? No so have anybody ever catered McDonald's? I've never been nowhere where they catered McDonald's. Now I done took kids to birthday parties, and I done, my wife done sent me to pick up stuff and all that kind of thing, and I do that. But I've never been to a place where the food was catered by McDonald's. I didn't know McDonald's did catering. For them to fix that many Big Macs, I don't even know how they did. So shout out to whatever McDonald's that Donald Trump used for his catering. But since the government is shut down, he had no money. Of course, he's still getting paid, but, there was no money. And so because of that, he serves McDonald's burgers. And I wonder, they didn't even see them on warmers. So I'm trying to figure out, McDonald's food get real cold. Yeah. Yes. And, one thing about McDonald's food, don't ever spoil.
Never.
McDonald's cheeseburger be good for 5 years. You sit it on the table and come back 5 years later, the thing's still It don't
look the
spoil.
same.
Yeah, it look the same.
It don't shrivel.
Yeah, it don't shrivel up. The cheese still yellow. Everything.
Yes.
Pickles still might need to be
Still
cold.
crispy.
Yeah. I mean, it's just wild how they have that stuff. And so, you know, we got to do better. Listen, hold the folks in Washington accountable. We got to do better, because the thing is, this shows poorly on our country and makes us a laughing stock. And y'all know me, I'm not partisan. You know, I jumped on President Obama for some stuff. And I've been politically aware for a little bit. Going back to President Clinton, every one of them I've had issues with, and every one of them, even including Donald Trump, have done some good. That, it's not all bad by anybody. It's not all good by everybody. But come on, we just can't be serving, McDonald's cheeseburgers and chicken nuggets and whatever else they serving to the winning national title team. All right, so let's hold them accountable. We're almost into a month on the government shutdown. I talked about that on last week. It's getting ridiculous, and it doesn't seem to be getting better. And people are suffering. You got government contractors, you got government workers. Check out brooksbrothers.com if you're a government worker. I do have some funding solutions for you that can help you during this time if you're not getting paid. And that's the craziest thing. You got people going to work, air traffic controllers, the National Guard. You got people going to work, TSA. I'm going to be flying in a little bit, and I'm hoping the government get back open, because, if I was a TSA worker, hell, y'all get on. I ain't checking nobody.
That's my mom.
If I'm not getting paid and I got to sit there and listen to somebody cuss me out about taking their shoes off to go through a thing, I'm liable to... I got folk cussing at me about taking off my coat, and I ain't got paid. No ma'am and no sir. Okay, so support a government worker and all people that, even if you're not working for the government and you're struggling and going through things, there's solutions for you. So just a little side bit there. All right, moving on from President Donald John Trump. The Memphis Grizzlies are 19-25. They started out 12-5. So that means they've gone 7-20 since they opened up the season 12-5. And they're really struggling. For those that care about the Memphis Grizzlies, or you just care about them in the NBA, they're going to need to turn some things around really quick, because people are starting to check out. People are eventually going to stop going to the games. I see them now giving away tickets that tell you they're not that good. When they start giving away tickets close to the court and all that kind of thing. But they're going to have to make some kind of move with the Memphis Grizzlies, and really fast, because they're falling in the standings pretty quick. So I believe they play Boston tonight, which is not a help. Boston is pretty good, but you never know. That's why you play the game, so maybe they can make some things happen. A surprise area real quick when it comes to things here in Memphis. So it was reported this week that in the Fraser community, property values have increased 50% in the Fraser community last year in 2018. And that's really big. For those that are familiar with the Fraser area, whether you grew up there or you know anything about Fraser, it's been a depressed area for some time, for a few decades. And it's starting to make a rebound. You've got local investors that are going into the area. You're starting to get more homeowners and things like that. And so that's really good. And so it's surprising that their property values are up 50%. So those of y'all that have an interest in real estate investing and things like that, Fraser's a move that you may need to make with values going up. You may want to make that move sooner rather than later. All right, now I got a little bit of a thing. I got not necessarily a complaint, but something I got to confess to y'all. All right, so everybody on this pod, everybody in the free world knows I got 3 daughters. All y'all know that. Y'all might as well, ain't nobody, I ain't know that, y'all. You know that. Yeah, because I talk about it all the time. I share it on my social media. So it'd be funny, like, if I get messages from people, like, I'll have a picture of my wife and then 3 girls, and then somebody inbox me about it. Like, you don't see, like, it's my cover. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not out here playing, I'm not Mike Lowry or somebody. I ain't out here playing, from Bad Boys. Y'all see me. I'm Family Guy. I'm a domesticated animal now.
They do that to you.
Yeah,
they do that to you.
Yeah. So y'all had to catch me back, in them olden times. I might have been, a little bit different. I was a little bit more, you open the cage up, you don't know what's gonna happen. But now I'm just chill. I'm chilling.
38.
Yeah, I'm busy. Yeah, I'm gonna be 38 tomorrow. Like the folk, yeah. So you remind me.
You're almost 38.
Yeah. So I'm chilling. I'm the guy sit there and I'm just watching. I'm observing. I get told what to do, and that's how And in the house with all I just get bossed around.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my life now. So it ain't nothing for me. I just get told what to do and I go do it. That's it. Show up when you're supposed to show up and write the check when you're supposed to write it. And make it out to the right folk and for the right amount, and you live to see the next day.
I wonder if my husband feels the same.
That's husbands all around the world. That ain't, so we can all, they get on here, they'll line up and down, they'll shut down Facebook with husbands talking about how they have to operate. That's how it is, Now, I've got 3 daughters, and they're all in Girl Scouts. So guess what that means? That means that all 3 of them have to sell Girl Scout cookies. All 3 of them.
At the same time.
At the same time. What Future say? At the same damn time? At the same time. All of them. All of them got to sell Girl Scout cookies right at once. So all 3 of them have a link. So y'all help a brother out. Inbox me if you're interested in Girl Scout cookies. And I know how some of y'all are. Some of y'all, we learn terms over time. So our community can be fun. Y'all learned how to spell melanin a few years ago and y'all went crazy with that. Y'all learned how to spell petty before then, and then y'all figured out what that meant, and then y'all ran with that. So here's kind of the deal. I need y'all to kind of help me out. Now, I know y'all done picked up new stuff now, like y'all vegan and y'all eat keto and y'all eat the grass in the front of your yard and that kind of stuff now. Don't nobody eat nothing with no sugar in it no more. And y'all lie. I know y'all. So, some of y'all are truthful, but some of y'all lie. But that's okay. Either way, I'm not worried about that. So you could donate cookies as well.
Gift it?
You can gift them. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So if you kind of want, I don't need no cookies no more. I don't do that no more. Yeah, we should have seen you during Thanksgiving. But so anyway, get you some Girl Scout cookies. They're really good. They're $4 a box. I'll put the links in the show notes. So y'all support the 3 girls, my 3 daughters. And I know some of y'all have daughters that are selling Girl Scout cookies too. And that's good too, y'all. Everybody needs to try to sell their cookies and all that. But even if you're a girl selling Girl Scout cookies, just buy from mine anyway. Yeah, we can support each other. Send me your link, I'll send you mine. We all in this thing together. So yeah, we can collaborate and all that kind of thing. So
everybody get prizes.
There you go.
Do they still give out the prizes?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. So yeah, I think you got to sell like 100 boxes. I see with 3 girls, I got to sell 300 boxes of these things.
Oh yeah, you in trouble.
Yeah. So everybody, and I can't how one daughter, if I start selling more for the other, she go speak up. So
it has to be equal.
My oldest daughter, she kind of picked up a little momentum. People was sharing her link, and then here come the middle daughter. Daddy, they ain't buying my cookies. They buy Madison's cookies. Well, yeah. So, I got to listen to them speeches. I get, when you get a speech from a 7-year-old, or a 6-year-old.
Oh, that's forever.
Yeah, so them speeches bring tears to your eyes. They be so hurt. You be so hurt. You cut TV off. You be sitting in the room, dark room. Don't say nothing. That's how you be feeling so bad.
You have to split it up.
Yeah,
one daughter for work, one daughter for church, and then daughter.
Yeah, that 6-year-old, she make you get in the car and just drive around the city. You ain't going nowhere.
So she old school then.
Yeah. So
that's a hustler.
Yeah, she cut you up. So yeah, you be feeling bad. You go get in the car, you be driving around, listening to sad music stuff, running red light, everything. So support us on the with the Girl Scout cookies. Update on the campaign. So I mentioned it last week. Running for City Council District 2 here in Memphis. Campaign's going very well. Shout out to campaign manager Danielle McGee, treasurer Evelyn Archer, and many supporters around there. And looking to have a kickoff, campaign kickoff. So you happen to be in Memphis, hit me up. I can get you invitation to the campaign kickoff, probably looking in mid-February. So be on the lookout for that. And it's just time. It's just time. It's time that we can build some momentum here in the city and do some other things. I just have a common sense business approach. I'm not a politician. This is my first. I didn't run for class president or none of that. This is my first time running for any kind of office. So I appreciate everybody's support in that. And you can check out Ron Brooks Jr. On Facebook.com and RonBrooksJr.com for that. So that's Ron's rundown. Thank you so much, everybody, for that. Listen, I want to get right into my guest. Mac, what's going on? Solomon, how you doing? We got people coming in on Facebook Live as we always do. Miss May, how you doing? Derek, Quan, what's going on? Frat, Curtis Alexander. Yeah, my cousin Lisa said cold McDonald's at that. Yeah, that's, yeah, your president's cold like that. So, yeah, so I know that McDonald's get cold. That McDonald's in 5 minutes, you don't eat that McDonald's, it's going to be...
It's a wrap.
Yeah, it's going to be frozen. All right. So let me introduce my guest today. My guest today is Crystal DeBerry. And I've been able to, do business with Crystal, been able to observe her moves and things like that, and always admire people, who are just good people who lead things in this community, who are family based and just look at the world and look how they can make it a better place. And so Crystal does that. And so I want to introduce Crystal DeBerry here on the Minding Your Business podcast. And so Crystal, what's going on?
Thank you for having me. A lot is going on.
Yeah,
Where should I start?
Yeah, so let's get right into it then. Let's get right into it. So I guess for those that aren't familiar with you, tell them a little bit, about your background and kind of how you've gotten to where you are.
All right. So I am an adjunct instructor for the University of Memphis, as well as founder for a nonprofit, Indomitable Families Affected by Incarceration, formerly Indomitable Women of Incarcerated Men. Mother of 4, soon to be 5. All of them were surprises.
All of them. Come on now. Crystal, all of them.
Ron, every last one of them. It was the moment of, wait, what, God, what you trying to tell me? What you want me to do?
So you got surprised 5 times.
5 times. You want to know my medical history? When they told me birth control does not weaken my eggs, I knew I was in trouble.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, we're in trouble then.
Oh.
Also a doctoral student for University of California, USC. Whoop, whoop.
Yep.
I love it. I love my program. And just a wife.
Yes.
Again, like I said, a mother. I think that's probably the biggest accomplishment, raising and keeping alive 4.5 kids. So I think I'm doing good.
Yeah, excellent. So how, I see there's, again, with that, there's a whole lot we could get to, but let's talk about the organization kind of first. So how did the organization come about? And what are some of the things that you all do, kind of here in the community to support? Okay.
So with Indomitable Families, started back in 2014 while my husband was still incarcerated. Never saw this coming in regards to being a social worker. My passion was children aging out of the foster care system.
Right.
And then at the time, I was actually working in dialysis as a social worker. So when, God was just saying, hey, this is what you're going to do. And I was like, Like, first of all, I really don't like working with adults. Give me the kids. Give me the children.
Right.
And then alcohol and drugs. Like, you want me to... nothing against that population, but, people who work with that population, there's definitely this passion and this skill set that you have to possess,
yes,
to help this population overcome addictions. And so, when God was like, no, this is what you're going to do, and I was put in a position of, I had to do it. It was nothing else left for me to do. You know how sometimes God just put you in a position to where it's like, okay, I surrender. This is what I'm doing. And so I ended up quitting my job in dialysis, and then the University of Memphis, asked me to teach a course along the lines of, organizations in the community and understanding human behavior. So I went in the direction of human behavior. And so, and just, teaching that course and then actually forming and birthing the organization, That's how Indomitable came to be. It was a personal and a professional combination at the same time.
Yeah.
And I never saw it coming. Literally, it was just like, what am I doing? Okay, I got to do it. And the train is going, and I got to keep on the train.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of people question, like, well, when your husband comes back, what's going to happen? And I'm like, well, God told me to do this. I don't have a choice. Like,
right.
He's coming home, but God said this is what I'm doing, so I have to keep with it. A lot of people thought it was temporary.
Right.
And then not only just that, again, God works mysteriously. A couple of women approached me and they're like, hey, my husband is here, but we're still kind of struggling. And for me, it was hard for me to grasp that concept. Like, wait, what you mean he's home and we're still struggling? Wait. At that time, my husband's still gone, and my thought is, I just need him to come home. When he come home, we good.
Right.
I didn't understand that bittersweet transition until it actually occurred.
Yeah.
And so that's when we expanded from doing the support socials for women to just now, case management overall for the family. So that's why the name changed to Indomitable Families instead of now Indomitable Women, because you have to service the whole family. It's a trauma for the whole family that really, truly never ends.
Yeah.
Incarceration, and once you've been affected by incarceration, and I'm talking about on a deep personal level, that trauma really, truly never ends, especially if it's never addressed.
Yes. Yeah, and that's incredibly interesting. So you mentioned your husband being incarcerated. Go into the beginnings of that. So, how did you react to that happening? And walk us through kind of your thought process. At that point, do y'all have children?
No.
Okay. So you don't have children at that point?
No.
So
I had my older two from a previous marriage. But
okay.
That was it.
Got you. So, but you've got 2 children, and you've got your husband. Now your husband is going away into the system.
Yes.
So start there, because I think there's a lot of people that would be interested in just kind of the thought process, Crystal, of
Correct.
what you're facing emotionally and whatnot as you go through that process.
So first of all, the day that the feds came, holding up this white sheet of paper saying, hey, we're here to talk to, my husband. And I'm just like, wait, what? I opened the door and I just remember police officers, sheriffs going everywhere, which way in the house, And at that moment, I'm in the Matrix. Like, literally, I can't tell you anything else that was said. All I know is they kind of walked me to the couch and I'm sitting there. And it's just all these men talking to me, and more so in a threatening tone, very threatening. If you know anything, if you don't say anything, this is gonna happen. Yada yada yada. And I'm just like,
wow,
I don't know anything. Like, And then I realized, and I remember yelling, I have 2 kids in the back.
Yeah, and your kids are how old at that time?
Oh my gosh, maybe 5 and 7.
Okay,
5 and 7.
So young.
Young
really
kids. And so, luckily, they slept through all of it until they took my husband out of the house. And I was just like, oh, my gosh. And so, at that moment, again, I remember calling my mom, and I'm like, I'm a social worker. I provide counseling to people. What am I going to do with this?
Yeah.
One of our very first support socials was about identity crisis. Because I prayed about this, and I prayed about this, because we were not married at the time.
Okay. Yeah. We
weren't married. And again, we were talking about getting married, and it was just, where do we go from here? And so it became a matter of, we started the counseling, and we have to make it right. And so we both agreed, and I thank God for Pastor Nathaniel Bond in Jackson, Tennessee, because he was like, don't let the feds steal your joy. If this is something you all were going to do anyway, he was like, proceed forward.
Yeah. Now, were you upset? I mean, obviously you're upset because of all this going on.
Correct.
But were you upset at him specifically, at your husband? Or are you upset more of like the system and how it was handled, or
all of that combined? I can't say I was upset or angry with anything. At this time, I was really trying to figure out my purpose spiritually, like, God, what is happening? Because when things happen to us, it's for a reason. And so I'm always continuing to search for what is this reason? What are you trying to get me to do? And again, at this point, I didn't think anything about an organization. You know, even in just praying about, do I marry him? You know, and me clearly hearing God saying, yeah, you're gonna stay. You know, and then me going back and forth with God, like, I'm okay being his friend. Like, you want me to just stay and be his friend?
That's
like,
what I was gonna say. Because like,
like,
if at the time y'all aren't married, it seems like, and again, you know, people make decisions in a lot of different ways, as you know, Crystal. But it seemed like the easiest thing you could have did was walk away.
Yes.
You've got your 2 children.
I think I wanted
You
to.
could have said, throw the deuces up. Sorry, bro. And you could have rolled on, right?
Yes. And at that moment, it was like, okay, God, I'm trying to, what we doing here? And, you know, again, it was a matter, you're going to stay. Okay. Can I stay just as the friend? And it was like, no. You know, because again, we were already talking about marriage. We were already talking about just, and this was somebody that I was in love with. Like, I was telling somebody, I was like, can y'all please find me the scripture in the Bible where Boaz had shiny handcuffs? Because I can't find it. But that's how I honestly felt. Like, I met my Boaz, and wait, which he's gonna go to prison? So the identity crisis, the whole, you know, my mom had to talk me off this high horse real quickly. She said, what you're going to do is, she was like, because you already know how the system is. I come from a family of law enforcement, right? So she's like, you know, you're going to go to his court cases and you're going to hear for yourself. Don't let them just come in and determine the whole, you know, the rest of your life's trajectory with this man.
Right.
So I started going to the cases, you know, and I'm telling my, you know, at the time my fiance, hey, get with your lawyer, tell them I need everything. So motion of discovery, all of the evidence. I want to read this stuff for myself.
Right.
And I think that's what helped me get through the process and make that decision of, okay, even in the midst of his trial, we didn't know how many years. Let's go ahead and get married. It was simply a bold faith walk. Would I recommend any other woman to do it? No, you have to pray about it. You have to see if that's the decision that's right for you.
Right.
It's very hard. And again, I'm putting myself in a situation to where I know this man may be getting ready to leave me. And then bam, right after we get married, I found out I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
And now he's really having to leave.
Right.
And now I'm expecting, like, wait, God, what are we doing here? Like,
so at this point, you've got 2 children.
Yes.
You're carrying a child.
Yes.
And now your new husband.
Yes.
That you just married.
Has to go away.
Is going away.
Yeah.
And at that point, do you know for how long? Or
no, because he was detained in jail for a while.
Okay.
And so there were court proceedings throughout my entire pregnancy.
Gotcha.
What's ironic is on my baby's due date was his sentencing date, but my baby ended up coming a week early. So about 5 days later, I had to go to court. They were like, no, you have to be there. And I'm like, my baby's 5 days old. And I had to get on the road to Jackson and go to court.
Wow.
With my baby being 5 days old. So, and again, you know, I'm sitting in court and, you know, I have my baby and then I see my husband, and anybody knows my husband, he's tall and kind of big.
Yeah, he
looks threatening. He does.
Yeah.
Every time he made a move, they made a move. I mean, it was just like crazy.
Yeah.
You know, that they were, you know, responding to him that way, because I didn't see that.
Right.
So, you know, at that moment, I'm just like, oh my gosh, it is so many other women out there like me. And I remember then thinking, I know I'm not the only one who feels like this, and I got to get other women so we can kind of talk about this and process this, because this is something big.
Yes.
Yeah, it's you know, your brain is just trying to process so much about the entire situation.
So what's his state of mind during this? So as you know, this is happening and he's going through the trials, he's detained, so he's away from his family.
Yes.
So
and his first baby.
And his first baby. So, what is his mind state or mindset during this? I mean, how was he handling it?
I think we did very good in supporting each other spiritually. I mean, we had to connect on that level. I mean, it's just nothing else to that. Prayerful a lot, you know, in regards to, you know, of course, he's not home and he can't be physically head of household, because he's still head of household, but he physically couldn't be head of household. You know, of course, there's some despair there and oh my gosh, but he did what he could, because for a minute I did clock out. I remember I'm on the phone with my mom, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with the laundry. And she was like, just start with the towels, Crystal, because he did that.
He did, yeah.
And then I remember one day I was on the phone with him when he was able to get a call, and I was like, okay, I don't know what to cook. And he was like, well, look in the deep freezer. There's the turkey meat, da-da-da-da-da. He said, if you look in the cabinet, like, he said all this, like, this is the things that he did anyway, but, you know, it just shows that how he took care of me before he left.
Yeah.
And so even when he left, even after that, you know, he was still, with him being gone, you could just see that I was kept, you know.
Right.
So I think he did what he could do as best as he could, and with all of the emotions.
Yeah. And so now he's locked up. And of course, my guest today, Crystal DeBerry, here on the Minding Your Business podcast. So during this process, Crystal, so he's away, all right, and he's away for, you know, a significant amount of time. What within you allowed you to have the kind of strength for your children? Because you've got young children. You got so now you got a newborn baby. You've got children in that 5, 6, 7, 8 range that are developing their personalities, getting to the point where they can understand some of what's going on, and that daddy's not here, and that sort of thing. They're having to go to school. You've got all these, I mean, you got a ton of things, responsibilities, and I know parents out there can all relate to this. So what kept you sane, I guess, through all of this?
One day at a time. My family, big support circle. You know, you meet some women in my situation, and they'll say how the family kind of distance themselves. I had aunts and uncles on the visitation list, you know, to go see him and things like that. Like, the family was just very supportive. Again, when this happened, I think everybody was kind of shocked. Like, my husband had been to prison before we met. Okay. And even the pastor would have told you then, you know, when we were going through counseling, okay, about 10 years ago, I would not have agreed to do y'all marital counseling sessions. He was like, but today, the man that I see before me, you know, is a changed man. And so, you know, I think family was a big part. I'm a part of a big sibling group, so my sisters helped a lot. But with my kids, because again, we're taught bad people go to jail, bad people go to prison. Right. So I remember I'm in a parent-teacher conference, and the teacher was like, hey, well, your daughter, she was saying that her dad went to jail. And I'm like, you know, like, at this moment, I'm not out in the public with, you know, what all is going on at home and stuff. And so I was like, no. I said, not quite. I said, not her dad. I was like, but someone else's dad, you know, and trying to play it off. So, of course, after school, and I was like, hey, why did you tell the people at school, you know? And she was like, well, Mommy, when you get to the mat, you're supposed to tell about interesting things. And she was like, and that was interesting. I said, well, what did the kids say? And she said, all the kids was like, oh, you know? And my son was just like, you don't tell people that. Like, my son does not get upset about anything. Yeah. But he understood, like, you don't tell people that, you know. And so even when I did have to tell them that, you know, my husband was going to prison, it was like, wait, but that's only for bad people. He's not a bad person. Right. You know, and that's how they took it. So, like, the first time they even went to visit, oh, my gosh, my kids turned into little thugs. Because they really were like, so did he set him up? Was it him, Mama, who set him up right there? Or did, like, they were really trying to figure out, how did he get here? Because
that process. Yeah.
He's not a bad person.
Right.
So I had to tell them at that time that, you know, sometimes they may not be a bad person, but sometimes it could be who you're hanging around with, or, you know, just certain situations. That's why you have to, you know, pray over yourself and things like that. And of course, the baby, she doesn't really remember anything, you know. Right. But the older two, my babies turned into little thugs on me. They were just trying to point them out during visitation, like, what's going on? But family played a big part. And just helping me through this. Friends, oh my gosh, my friends would, because again, everybody loved him. So it was really like, oh, what is going on? Right. Okay. So then you get to the point, Crystal, where he comes home, right? Obviously, that could be, I imagine, very joyful time. However, and we spoke about this a little bit offline, was there's a period of having to get reacclimated to life on this back on this side
for him, for you, for the children, for the family. So talk about that, and then also talk about with your organization how you help people,
Correct.
to be able to do that, because that gets missed a lot of times. Is people come out of the system, and I don't think this country yet has really figured out a good solution for integrating people back into society. I've seen this with my own family. I've seen this with other people. And so, can you speak to that from your personal situation and for other people?
So, all throughout the whole process, I tell people that we were so blessed and lucky, and that our situation was not like the majority. So my husband comes back home to a job, so that was a blessing. It was still moments of, I could tell that he was still trying to get used to, okay, how I work this cell phone again. Getting used to the cell phone. I remember the first time he went driving, I was like, "You feel comfortable?" He was like, "Yeah, I got it." Still, like, after years of not doing something, it feels different the first time. I remember we had a family event, the very first one. It was actually the baby's birthday. And I was like, "Where is he?" And he was in the bedroom. And I was like, "What's going on?" He was like, "I just feel a little overwhelmed, but I got this." So you see that. And that's all mental health.
It is.
That's mental health. So with the organization, it started making sense a little bit in regards to, okay, so I'm helping now the family with getting jobs or getting this, but some of them can't maintain the jobs. I'm giving you a job. I mean, through networking. I'm telling you to go meet this man here in regards to an interview, and you don't show up, or you show up, go to the job, but you can't keep the job, and this is a good pay. It's not a temporary job. Right. You walking in, and then I remember one young man walked right in, $14.50 in benefits, and walked away from it. That's all mental health. I think what we're missing here is the mental health component, and we're also missing the fact that incarceration is criminogenic, and it is the perfect storm. The majority of the people going to prison and jail are in poverty-stricken areas, or crime-ridden areas. Right. They come from some of them come from households where trauma is a big issue. It is. So then you take them. We're gonna lock them up, and then we put them in prison, and then there's trauma in the prison. And then we're gonna let you out. I've had men come to me with no birth certificate, no social security card, no ID. Just imagine if you don't have that right there. Right. No way to identify yourself. Exactly. And now we're talking about money and no transportation. And I was talking to another young man in regards to, because there's funding out there for this population, but is that just an illusion? Right. Now we have this whole opioid epidemic, right? And you see that whole national. Why is incarceration not like that when the rates continue to climb? Is the funding just an illusion, and is it just a way of saying, well, this is what we're doing for it, but if they don't want to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, then, but what if they don't have straps, or better yet, what if they don't have boots? Right. I was gonna say that. Yeah. And then I also like it when they say, oh, teach a man how to fish and he can eat forever, right? I hate it, but I like it at the same time. And it's because what if, the person that you're teaching to fish doesn't have a fishing pole? Can you give them the worms? Right. What if their pond is dirty? What if they're in their neighborhood, there's not a pond? Right. There's no pond, or the pond has no fish. Thank you. Right. Some areas, like right now in Memphis, right, they don't have those supermarkets with fruits and veggies that are needed. So when we're talking about this population here, it's not necessarily that they need a handout. I think we're just missing the whole thing of trauma started before the incarceration, and we're not addressing that mental health component. And it's hard, especially when it's the majority of African Americans being incarcerated, and now, and this is also our culture is we don't really seek out therapy. Right. Yeah. So it's difficult. So that's why I say it's the perfect storm, because of course, now recidivism is going to continue to rise, and I don't think people understand that 95% of people that go to prison come back home. And what are they coming back to? Right.
Yeah.
And you're not setting them up for success.
Right. Because they come back where the society has kind of changed and moved on. In some cases, like you mentioned earlier, families, maybe some are supportive.
Correct. Some are not.
Some are not. Yeah. Some come back and a lot of things have changed. It's hard for them to maintain some relationships and things like that. And like you say, when you're not set up for success, it's easy to revert back to what you know or what your limited options are.
Correct.
Because it's hard. The job, we already know the job market and how that is towards people who have served time and within the system, and so people say, well, just go start this business or just go do that.
It's not that easy.
But no, because a lot of things you can't get licensed for. There are things that you've got to disclose that to people and things like that, and people have a funny way of how they view that and interact with it, like you say, even down to how children are. We grow up thinking, oh, prison's for bad people.
Exactly.
And so
and the mindset, you have to have the mindset to know that you can do this. And so one of the things in the classroom that I speak on is I ask a list of questions like, how many of you feel like you can write a book and get it published? Or how many of you feel, or, for you, high school, was it mandatory? Like, did you know you were going to finish high school? Because for some people, that's not on the to-do list.
Yeah, it's not a reality for them.
Exactly. And it's a matter of the mindset and where we come from and the upbringing and parenting. And again, incarceration is the perfect storm. Let's just say, for example, someone had a parent incarcerated, then they're incarcerated. And then what about their children?
Yes.
Someone asked me, Crystal, would you help a murderer? And I'm just like, well, the thing is I have to help everyone because life is a circle. Right. Just because I live here and they live here doesn't mean that they can't, not to say that that's a bad person, they can't come out there and commit a crime, or because I didn't help this person here, they have children, and then their children start victimizing my kids. Like, life is a circle. You just never know.
There's a lot of connectivity.
Exactly.
Yeah. So your husband comes out, and now he's got successful business. And one of the things that's interesting, so for men, I'll speak about this, and as a man that is a husband, and when you talk to other men who are husbands, and when they truly embrace that, when I've talked to your husband, and when he talks about you and he talks about his children, there's a certain way, whether you're talking to him face to face or even when you're on the phone, there's a certain excitement, there's a certain level in their voice when they speak about their family, and I recognize that with him, again, when he speaks about you all. And he's in a position now where he's kind of growing a business. Can you talk about that and the process that he took? And I'd love to have him on here at some point in the future to talk from his end of it. But Krista, talk about that and your support of that as he comes out and he kind of finds a good niche where he's able to not only provide a living and things like that, but he provides a service to the community, and he's able to then employ other men and women in that. So kind of a complete turnaround. So, can you talk about that some?
So before he even came home, he's been a barber for ever. I think he said 98, 99. And again, when he came home, the owner of the barbershop that he was working for before he left, they saved his booth for him, okay? Yeah. So he started there, and then he had another friend who was already into, the friend was into trucking. Now, we had already spoke about entering into the trucking realm as well. But he was like, hey, I found a building that I think will be great for a barbershop. And so the process actually started before he even came home. Okay. So you see about planning and just that whole mindset. Exactly. And I remember he would ask me to send in information regarding, starting the business, starting a barbershop and a salon combined, because there's a difference. Right. And so when he came home, immediately it was a matter of, let me fulfill the legal obligations, meet with the probation officer and things like that. save money, and then he just used his connections with his customers. Hey, I'm getting ready to open up a shop, and that's how it came to, this guy, he's good with painting, and this guy, he's good with plumbing, and this guy's good with electrical. It was really a networking. I mean, my husband is naturally a hustler, like he is.
There you go.
And so, and you saw that come into play, where that's when he utilized those skills and the bargaining and all of that, and bartering services,
right,
to get the shop up and running. To now where he has an 18-wheeler, getting into the whole trucking business, and just continuing to produce. And I think after a while, when people see that, okay, if I really truly put my heart and soul into this legally, things will happen.
Right.
So. I think this, again, it just started before. And so even when women come to me and say, hey, well, my husband, he does want to do this and he does want to do that. And I'm like, okay, so how can we continue to motivate that burning desire in them? What can we do from the outside? What
right.
can we mail them? Of course, when they're in prison, they like to receive mail. They like to receive the emails,
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's send them things like that can actually keep their fire burning, that hope lit, and things like that. And because the organization was not just about women supporting and being that ride or die chick. Because
right.
if a woman ever came to me and it sounded like it was emotional abuse or verbal abuse, or he mad because I didn't send him money. Wait, what? But we have kids out here.
Right.
It's jobs that they can get in prison too. Let's talk about that. It was other things that went along with the organization too. Not let's just support this man. No. We're gonna do this the right way, and we're gonna teach those skills that's needed for when they do come home.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And
it
so
has to start on the inside.
So because he had kind of that hustle spirit, matter of fact, he just joined on. So shout out to
hey, boo.
The husband there that we're talking about, because he just joined on Facebook Live here on the Minding Your Business podcast, and our guest is Crystal DeBerry. So because he had that kind of hustler mentality already, and he's able to come back and he's planning, he's having an niche, and he's got that support, and so then you see now, how that transitions to having an opportunity for success and experiencing success. And then again, when you're in the type of field that he's in, he's able to provide a service to the community.
Correct.
And then able to employ and help others.
Yes.
And I think that's a key that gets missed, particularly in his story and you all's story, for people coming through that situation, is he's incorporate a business that he's able to help other people, whether they've been through the system or not.
Correct.
And so I think that speaks volumes to character when you're able to do that. And I think that's a big thing, because you mentioned earlier about, again, that notion that prison's just for bad people.
Correct.
And and people, it's easy to keep that perception if you've never been to one, or you just watch TV, you watch movies and stuff like that. You see folk in prison in a movie.
It's a little different.
Yeah, exactly. And so,
but his customers were also very supportive. Like his shop, they're real big on customer appreciation. They participate in the citywide cuts for kids and things like that. Everyone in the shop, you can tell that they've all been through things and experienced things, and they know that it is the grace of God that I'm still here today. And you see that in all of them, where they don't mind giving back. And so even with this event that we have now, this collaboration with the prom experience, where we're trying to, in its totality, just support 2 high school seniors who have a parent incarcerated. The people on that flyer, like the whole of it was just it wasn't a big deal of, do I want to do this or not. It's a matter of, oh yes, I'm there. Like, what role do I need to play? Like, they're just really, you can tell, again, it's just the grace of God that I'm here, and they just give back, and this is what I'm supposed to do.
Excellent. That's excellent. And so what are some, from your standpoint, Crystal, what are a couple best practices for women, maybe in general, that are in business in their organization, and then especially for women that are facing similar situations where they've got a spouse, significant other, maybe a brother, maybe an uncle, a cousin, an auntie, even a grandmother, whoever,
Yes,
I mean,
seriously.
the system's the system, right? And so what are maybe some best practices or advice you would share for those women, even for themselves?
Correct.
So there are some women who may be facing a situation that involves the system for themselves.
Correct.
What are some advice or best practices you have for them?
So a lot of people, before they can even ask me anything about the organization, they always ask me, well, what does indomitable mean? If they can say it right. I've been called abominable, like it's any and everything. And I tell them indomitable means unconquerable, undefeatable.
Yes.
You have to know who you are. You have to find yourself when you are in this situation. Again, even in just being a business owner and a woman, like that is because a lot of times you're walking into situations where you may be the only woman, or me being African American, I may be the only black woman in the situation. You have to know yourself, and it's like you almost have to know your position almost in the universe. Like you have to be mindful at all times of like your behavior, how people perceive you, and sometimes even your own biases to make sure that you don't come in and offend other people as well.
Right.
But one of the first things that we did in one of our support groups, is at the time, I had a baby, so I took baby jars,
right,
washed them out and everything, and then we made a Indomitable Woman's Toolkit. And in it, we put a paper clip to hold it together. We put a puzzle piece in there, just symbolizing, you need God's peace to have peace. We put the cross in there. We also had a rubber band, because the rubber band is flexible. It never breaks.
Yes.
So we had things like that,
psychologically to help.
That's it.
Help the development.
To just keep on going through this. Again, we were talking about earlier with kids, and oh my gosh, time management, and then self-care. Still being able to engage in something to where, at times, because I do suffer from anxiety, and it's because I just want things to be so perfect and so, because people are watching, they want to know. And you don't realize people are watching until like you're out in the community and someone says your name, and then in the back somebody's like, oh, I know her, and I'm like, who just said that? Like, somebody knows me. And so you just have to be mindful of a lot of different things, how you just carry yourself. Again, how your posts on Facebook, because I'm real petty in the inside of my head. Like, I just want to post things so bad,
Right.
Especially with the whole R. Kelly thing. It's like, y'all, this is not new. It's not new.
Right.
I remember seeing the video, like, this is not new, Right. But I keep things to myself, the whole political thing, it's so bad. All you can say is, God don't make no mistakes. You know how you got to throw out all the degrees, all your good English. God don't make no mistakes, That's how bad it is right now.
Right.
And so, you just have to know who you are, and you have to have, just this whole spirituality, the whole religion piece, to just keep you focused. Because there was a lot of people who told me, okay, Krista, you can't quit your job to do this. And I was like, but no, God is telling me I got to quit my job.
Right.
And I remember even my grandmother on my dad's side, very religious and spiritual woman. You hear me? Okay. So when I told her, she was like, baby, I don't think he's telling you to do that, and your husband's still gone. And I'm like, Grandmama, he is. I don't want to quit my job. I got 3 babies to feed, but this is what was happening. And I remember the last day at my job is when I found out I was getting like my first funding, funder for an event. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's telling me it's okay.
Yeah, there's your message there.
Correct. Because I remember battling like, okay, God, if I'm going to quit my job, can my babies just eat every day? Like, that's what I need. Right. And again, I quit, and it just... Now, I went back and did, certain things here and there when I saw that the organization was slow, like when we have our slow months and things like that. But for the most part, every step of the way, God will come in. You know how sometimes you just feel like, why am I doing this? And then God, Pastor or Brown Baptist, I love their women's ministry. Like, they just don't know how they came in at a time. It was just like, forget it, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I don't even know why God told me to do this. I don't even want to work with grown folks, let alone drug and addiction, let alone trying to solve all your family problems back when you was little, But people don't know how words of encouragement and, that family support can go a long way.
It can.
And
it definitely can.
Yeah.
It definitely can. And so, Krista, I thank you so much for your openness, your transparency, your willingness to share your story and your family story. I think it helps so many people. I know, it's helped me over time. As someone, as a husband who I haven't personally been through the system like that, been close.
It's like before the kids, before the wife.
Right, before all that. But, in just managing all that, I think is an inspiration for many and hopefully for everybody here that's listening to this podcast. How can people, I guess two things, how can people get involved with the organization? How can they connect with you? People that are listening to this kind of around the country or around the world, who may be hearing this and maybe they're going through a lot of what you've talked about and they're looking for that support, they're looking for that outlet. How can they connect with you on that? And then how can they connect with your husband too on his business if you happen to be here in Memphis or you happen to travel through Memphis? So how can they connect with you all?
All right, so our first major event is we are having this volunteer rally luncheon, and I'm so excited about it. People don't understand in the nonprofit sector, volunteers, that's your foundation.
Yes.
So we're having a volunteer rally luncheon next month to actually prepare for the rest of the events for 2019. So you can email us at indomitablewomen@gmail.com, and that's indomitablewomen@gmail.com. Feel free to give us a call, 901-417-7297 at the office. Excuse me.
That's okay.
My husband's barbershop is Fine Arts. It's off of South Mendenhall. You can hit DB the barber up. Let's see. I know Risky the barber is in there. Coco Davis the stylist. Jordan is another barber in there. T is a barber. She just did a whole dread unit on this guy. It looked good. Who am I leaving off? If I left off anybody, y'all forgive me. Y'all know I'm pregnant. Mine don't work right when you're pregnant. And also, Jessica is a collaborating partner with us too. With Make Me Over J. Renee. She used to work in the shop, but she's still like family and everything. And so she's actually going to do the makeup for the young lady that we do sponsor. Okay. So again, contact Fine Arts Barber and Styles off Mendenhall in Memphis, Tennessee. And I think that's about it. I don't know any Twitter or Instagram or any of those. I don't know those handles. But on Facebook, we are Indomitable Women still on Facebook. Indomitable Women of Incarcerated Men. Yeah.
Excellent. Crystal, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking time. I hope that the podcast universe and MYB Nation and everybody connects with you. We're going to put that information in the show notes, and so anytime you pull up this show, they'll be able to do that.
Awesome.
We thank you so much. Thank you to everybody on Spreaker Live, to my folks here on Facebook Live. Thank you so much. Crystal, you are so awesome. Love you. Okay. So they got you.
Auntie, that's one of my biggest supporters. Hey, Auntie Mavis.
There you go.
Thank you,
it's
Jessica.
It's a family affair, that's for sure. Jessica, right? Yeah, thank you. She said this was great. And so, thank you so much. I know this is a business podcast, but there's so much business element and a lot of things that people face every day, Crystal. So hopefully, again, people were helped by this. I'm your host, Champ Ron. This is the Minding Your Business podcast. We're going to come to you again, as we always do, every Friday. And again, make sure you connect with Crystal. Got a phenomenal organization, events coming up. If you're in Memphis, you happen to be traveling to Memphis, you're looking for an opportunity to volunteer, make sure that you email her, and let's do that. We want to make sure that we connect, and we're doing business with each other. And let's make sure that we're doing that and being as supportive as possible. So, listen, we're going to have a great weekend. I want to go enjoy my birthday weekend. I don't know what I was playing. It's supposed to rain all damn day tomorrow. And so, I don't know, like Memphis turned into Seattle, Washington all of a sudden, and it rains every day, except for the day. I think it's the only day.
Not on your birthday.
Yeah, the day before my birthday, it's nice and sunny, and then tomorrow's going to be 30 degrees, and it's sleet everywhere. Yeah, so it's just wild. But anyway, I'm going to enjoy that. Thank you all for that. We got the Martin Luther King holiday on Monday. If that means anything to you, then you'll be involved in some different activities or whatever activities that you have for that. I know the Memphis Grizzlies are playing at night. There's a ton of activity going on here in Memphis and around the country. So get involved. Now's the time. You see what's going on. All right. Hopefully everybody's been awakened to what's going on out here. And it only gets better if we all get involved. All right. Entrepreneurship, real estate, trending news. There's no business like minding your own. The Minding Your Business podcast. Have a great weekend. Do great. Be great for someone that can't do anything or reciprocate back to you. And love your family and love yourself.